Most people here, I'm sure, will agree that London is an amazing city, but an amazing city that needs to accommodate radical growth over the next 10 years. And the big question is how we tackle that problem.
It's a polycentric city. It's extraordinary how we are enlarging London and growing London with new town centres that are on post-industrial land. Growth should be around transport hubs. It's extraordinary how much London has increased its transport in the last 30, 40 years. London has not just Crossrail, but going back to the Victoria line, the Jubilee line, we're looking at West London and North London lines, and indeed High Speed 2 and so on. And it's around the stations and the new tube stations and the new mainline stations that we have to build the density. Any good city has close connectivity between its banks. That doesn't happen in the East, and I don't think we'll ever have proper development of the East that it can realise its full potential until you have low-level bridges connecting it.
Density and greenness can go together. Too often any development is seen as being something that makes a place less livable and less open space. Everything that I can see that we've done in the city in the last 10 or 20 years has both increased the density, wonderful new developments, and much more public realm. Cities generally go backwards or forwards. London has gone forwards dramatically in the last 20 years for a variety of reasons. I'm sometimes asked who planned it. And I don't mean this sort of planning, I mean the economy. And the answer is nobody really planned it, which is perhaps why it's been so successful. But we need to keep our economy competitive, to keep getting people and businesses wanting to come into London. That is going to benefit everybody, but we then have to provide the infrastructure, the housing, and everything else that goes with it.
The investment in the core has doubled over the last 5 years. The point I'm making is that as soon as you have significant changes to infrastructure, you'll get capital going into locations which 10, 15 years ago was a red light district. And now you're getting superannuation funds and sovereign wealth funds competing to invest in that very location.
I suppose the main difference if you're investing in one or the other is to think about funding it. So the fringe can be more difficult if you want to fund development, for example, just because of the inherent risks in lettings. If it comes to pure legal, it's the same. There are no real differences between the regimes. It's more to do with the market and what the market will give you.
Will it be cyclical or is it structural? London's the capital of the world at the moment. In my eyes, it always will be, and it certainly is now. London's a fantastic city. It's where everyone wants to live and everyone wants to work. And if we don't take steps now to make sure we continue that competitive advantage, then it will be cyclical because the structural changes that happen at the moment won't be able to be maintained. One thing we haven't mentioned at the moment is the people of London and the social fabric of London and why it's such a safe and fantastic place to live and to work. To do that, you have to house the people of London. And you have to make sure you house everyone across the whole social spectrum and all the different genders and age groups that we now have in London. London's a massively growing city, and we all know the struggle that most of the people in London face in terms of affordability and where they're going to live and how they're going to educate their children and how they're going to be able to actually travel to work every day and live a fruitful and productive life. These are the issues that really need to be addressed. And at the moment, I think the statistics are we're producing something like 20,000 homes a year. And Boris is talking about 40,000 homes a year. I think the number's probably bigger than that, given how little we've produced over the past couple of decades. And we're not really making inroads into how we're going to address that. We shouldn't be talking about fringes. We should be talking about new centres, new districts, new areas of London where people want to live. They must be centred around infrastructure. The sooner we build Crossrail 2, the better. And I think we need to get back right to that issue about housing and making sure that we can house the people properly and do the right thing by everyone to continue London's competitive advantage and making sure we create the fantastic city we've got.